Welcome back, everybody, to the Get Lit podcast. I am Shane Beckham.
And I'm with my friend Shane. I am Mike Huff. And today we're going to talk to you about alignment over arrogance. It's going to be an interesting topic, Shane. Why don't you get us kicked off?
You know what, Mike? It's been a little bit since we've been on here. I've missed you, buddy. It's good to see you.
Man.
You're over there in your short sleeves flexing out here in the cold weather. I love to see it. But you know what? I'm going to take that as a segue and say, you're aligned with who you are and you're not arrogant with what you're doing. And that's a silly example, but it's true, right? And we want to talk more about that today because as we move into January, right? We all know the headlines, new year, new me, all the things that go with it. Hey, I own a gym. I'm here for it, brother.
They all better show up in January for you.
Here's the thing, right? Motivation wanes and discipline remains. Okay? Shiny object syndrome is real, and we're fixing to enter into the season of that to where everyone says, here is the date on the calendar. I've got it circled. I'm making it. This is my year. We hear it, man. We live it. We say it too. We have things that we want to change, and we do use a calendar as a buffer. How many people were saying that December 1st? My question, Mike, and before we get into the podcast, why not?
Yeah.
Why not say it December 1st? This is my month.
Yeah, I think, Shane, a lot of people, training clients or friends, people that are in our families, people. We have a habit of wanting a milestone. We want a thing that's going to change. And so it's easy to make that January 1st because that's what everybody does. It's natural. You've got New Year's resolutions, whatever. And December was a month of, hey, it's frivolity. We were post Thanksgiving. We got Christmas coming up. We're going to have family and food, and which I did all that too. But I did it in a way that was still in alignment with what I was trying to achieve, right? And so I'm looking forward to January 1st, not because it's going to be a new step or something different for me, but it's another milestone differently. It's a milestone to mark that it's another year that I've been focused on the right outcomes.
Love that. Which goes into our next and first point. Basically is our opening argument here. What does alignment over arrogance mean? It's, why quiet clarity beats loud confidence. So let me take that a step further. January is going to be loud, not just in the gym world, everything. People are going to be posting their goals. They're going to be flexing their discipline. They're going to be declaring their dominance over the new year. But here's the thing, Mike, loud confidence isn't the same thing as being aligned. Arrogance needs to be seen. Alignment does it. Your point. I know that you are aligned with who you are, and people that are in your innermost circle, in fact, I would go even a broader spectrum, know that truly who you are aligned with specific goals in life. You have a personal mission statement, you have core values, and you adhere to those. Not just in January when you say you're going to make a change. It is an annual thing. You have achieved your yearly milestone, meaning I said I was going to do this January 1st, 2025. Tomorrow is December 31st, 2025. What's the gap and what's the gain? What have I just accomplished versus what I said I was going to do and what I did? I would dare say, sir, your error margin is small because I know you and I know that sometimes, sure, nobody's perfect, right? But for the whole greater of the good, 90 to 95% of your year, you stayed exactly true to who you were going to be, which means when we talk about arrogance, it's external validation. That means Mike is going to always be proving himself to us. I don't see that. I follow you on social media. We talk to each other usually daily, at least weekly. You don't have to prove anything to me. You know why? Because I can look at you and know that you're not falling out of line. If you do, I'm going to say, Mike, what are you doing? That's not who you are. You've had to say that to me this year. Like, hey, bro, what's up? This is not your core values. This is not who you are. Point being, with arrogance being validated, alignment is your internal agreement, Mike. It is your agreement to do exactly what you said you were going to do. So thoughts on any of the opening there, kind of the determining the difference of what we see, especially with social media now. My God, man, get on there And I love a lot of these people that I follow, but it's just, I don't need to see what you're doing. I don't need to see that.
No, no, and I think you and I still have to post things on social media that is us lifting a weight or us, looking in the mirror because we're trying to gain folks who say, "I want to be like that." It's got really nothing to do with you and I and our egos. It's totally. It's funny, but I was with my family over Christmas. My nephew, who's 15, decided to start to get strong and started to lift weights. So it was great to have him in the gym with me. And he went, we're in Quebec and Montreal. We went to the gym every day, and he said to me, he said, Uh, I see you used to post more on social media about the things that you were doing in the gym and goals being achieved. I said, yeah, I was trying to gain a following of people that wanted to train and achieve those same things. But dude, I hate doing it. I don't need to be in the public eye. I'm in the gym for me and my goals and my ambitions. I do want to train others and help them achieve the same thing because of the value and the power that it unlocks for us. But you don't see me posting about my business objectives. You don't see me posting about my family goals and things that we're driving because I'm not trying to gain followers there to help them do those things too. We're trying to gain access to people's minds and hearts through the lens of fitness. But otherwise, that stuff would never get posted. But you look around. I mean, I've got a feed full of people who that's all they do is post about how they look in the mirror in the gym and the weight they lifted today. And there's certain celebrities out there, and when I say celebrities, social media influencers, not celebrities, who that's what they live on is this idea of look what I squatted today. Sometimes fake plates, you can tell, whatever. It's that is arrogance. Maybe they're trying to do the same thing you and I are doing to try to gain a following, but a lot of people who are out there doing that are not. They're chasing an external pleasure. They're chasing somebody's appreciation for how they look or what they did. And that's not what you're doing. You're Shane, you're diving deep to figure out how do I internally create discipline and alignment, not externally be motivated. And I think that's if you can get people in the gym because they want to start from external motivation, that's good. That's a good place to start, but that will not sustain and that will not get you to your goal. And so you have to help them, flip that switch, we like to say, to conform that into that internal value, that drive inside versus that arrogance outside.
You know, Mike, you want someone to find that level of authenticity about themselves. What is authentic about Mike? What is authentic about Shane? And why should I get behind what they're saying? Well, it's our goal to show you an authentic path that we truly do live our lives in this fashion. And I dare say this is not being arrogant. This is being authentic and being, what we're talking about and aligned. We do have a specific path that we choose. And to me, Mike, when we go breaking down into what alignment actually means, because we talk a lot about the word alignment, it parallels with clarity. We could have a podcast on clarity and alignment and that type of thing every single podcast because
Yep.
it matters. I tell you all the time, I'm entering into year 3 of opening a business. My clarity, my vision, my alignment, it gets better every single day, every month. I learn something and I start to focus that into something. So the cautionary tale, what we bring up now is just because someone has 500,000 followers, and I'm not saying anybody's doing anything wrong on social media, there's traps. Be cautious of who you believe. Fact check stuff. Don't just believe everything that ChatGPT spits out, by the way. Anyways, enough about that. I love ChatGPT, but be careful. What alignment actually means to me is it's when your values, your actions, your schedules, and your standards agree, even when nobody's watching. That's alignment. Oftentimes, I'm unable to go and work out with a class at the gym. I just scheduling, I need to be doing other things, meetings, whatever. Oftentimes, I'm in there by myself, just me and the music. Not a soul around, not a soul watching me do what I do. And yes, I own a gym, and so people expect me to be I work my butt off and have to fit that in just like everybody else does. I don't have time. I make time. Because why? It aligns with who I am, Mike. When nobody's watching, what are we doing? That's to me, it's huge. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, we talk about this all the time. We talk about, what you do in the shadows is what makes you who you want to be. And I was talking to somebody over text yesterday, a friend of mine who reached out to wish me happy holidays, hadn't spoken to him about a year. And he said, "Well, how are things going?" I said, "Things are going really well. I mean, business is going great, family's going great. Just got back from a great trip in Canada. And right now, when he texted me, I was in the gym. And I said, and I'm currently in the gym. So what are you doing in the gym? It's the week between Christmas and New Year's. I said, "Yep, that's advancement zone. That's when you're willing to put in the work when everyone else is sitting around on the couch. It's not about beating them. It's about making sure you're the better you. Uh, but it does put you in a different category than those folks who are unwilling to do it. We use the gym as a metaphor for everything, and it's true the same way as you think about any goal that you establish, whether it be a new business or anything else. If you're just doing it to get somebody else's attention, and you have to be honest with yourself when that's the case, it just won't last because that wanes so fast. And that's, it's funny when I talked about going to the gym on vacation. I went every single day, save for the one day that we're on a train between Montreal and Quebec, vice versa, Quebec and Montreal, because it's just what I do. And no one in the family ever questioned it. Everyone understands Mike's going to the gym. And oh, cool, my son's going to go with you now. That's really cool. Oh, and your daughter's coming with us too. That's great. And it's just the way it is. Everyone's got plans, right? People want to go see the basilica or the Christmas market or the whatever. And I'm like, okay, tell me when your plans are, and I'll figure it out. Whether that's 7 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock at night, I'll work around you. But I'm going, and everyone's cool with it. They get it. And so they understand that that's my objective. It's not about gaining their attention. It's about what's important for me. And if we can get everyone to get that level of alignment, that willingness to do the work in the dark when no one's watching, life becomes a lot easier. And we talk about all the time. This fitness stuff transcends to all things that you're willing to put your discipline around.
Mike, to segue into that or to ask you a question about that is, one of the things I believe that affects people is fatigue. And when I say fatigue, I mean decision fatigue. You don't even have to be a leader
Mm,
to have a lot of decisions that you have to make on a daily basis, right? If we look deeper into the data, and I did pull this data point up, it's not my own. I did Google this. It says the average male adult makes 35,000 plus decisions a day. Okay, that's a lot. Okay, that's a lot of decisions. They could be very small, they could be very large. Doesn't give me the scope. It's just how many times we're making a decision throughout the day. Now, taking that into a leadership and aligned perspective, leaders who lack alignment have to burn energy just to figure out who they are, right? Think about how much energy it consumes to make one decision. Well, if you don't know who you are, if you are not aligned, if you are not authentic, if you're just arrogant, think about the amount of time you have to be to play to play that role because it's a facade, it's an act. You're having to expend energy to be that person because it's somebody that you're really not. You're not being authentic. Two, a lot of people, they reduce decision fatigue because standards are already predetermined.
mm,
You didn't have to hype yourself up on vacation to go to the gym. You know why? Because that's a predetermined thing that you do. You
that,
didn't have to wake up and say, smack yourself in the face a few times. It's, damn it, I got to go to the gym today. It's, I get to go work out and I'm gonna. Who's coming with me?
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
It's predetermined. You reduce the amount of energy you have to expend because you already have predetermined things that you just do. You know you're going to eat this way. You know you're going to abstain from this. You know you're going to take and go to the gym and do this particular workout this day of the week. All those decisions are eliminated from the ones that you've already got going. Like you've been involved in a lot of business decisions recently. You don't need external noise coming in about who you are affecting any of those decisions, which means that being aligned in your situation as a leader is profound. It is something that you are able to use to where you don't have to get up, crank up Goggins every single morning of your life to go do what you say you're going to do. Does some of that help sometimes? Absolutely. We both use it. We don't have to have it every single day because we align ourselves with who we want to be And it's far removed from being arrogant. It's just who we are. And, either I tell people this all the time, either get beside me, get behind me, or get the fuck out of my way, because you're not aligned with me. I'm going to run over you. I don't care. I don't have time or patience. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. We want to try to usually keep those words out, but just kind of slipped out there, Mike. Thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, sometimes you need the word to create the point. So, but I do think, what you just said, Shane, I hadn't really contextualized it the way you just said it, and it makes so perfect sense to me. Whether you're the person who creates alignment around loving to watch TV or knitting or fitness, those are no longer decisions. When you're a leader, when you're the person that makes a decision around, we're going to do whatever's right because it's right. We're going to do what's best for who first, the customers first or employees first. You got to know that answer. We're going to do what's best for the financial line first or for the safety of our team members first. Well, you got to know that answer. And once you've created alignment around that stuff, there are no decisions around those topics. We've already made the decision. Decision
You've
was made
removed
one
the
time.
gray. The gray area is
You
gone.
agree. You made a decision one time. I made that decision. Now I know who I am. And now that I know who I am, I don't have to think about stuff. And there is not decision fatigue as a result. People do think it's hard to live a disciplined life. It's actually so easy to live a disciplined life. It's so much easier than having to make all those damn decisions and feel bad about decisions I made all the time because I chose the path of least resistance or what made me feel the best in the moment. And that wasn't me, Shane. It wasn't you. 4 years ago, that's not who we were. We were the people making the bad decisions and doing the dumb things. And we flipped a switch to say, no, we're going to live independently. We didn't even know each other at that time. We both made the decision around the same time, both ended up in the same group who were helping us make that decision. And then we made those changes. A lot of people in that group did not, but we did. And when you make that change, the value of that is so huge, that lack of decision fatigue, that's exactly right. And guess what? You're making 35,000 decisions a day, whether you want to make them or not. Just what are you deciding? And how easy is it for you to make that decision? It's a brilliant point. Great
Yeah.
thought. So how do you think about that, Shane?
Great. And I think you summarized that great. It's not just what we're talking about. It's what are your alignments? I tell coaches all the time when I bring them in to hire them, I ask them, what's your personal mission statement? You know how many times they've been asked that question? Probably none. What's your core
Never.
values? What
Never.
are your core values? Have you been asked that question? Well, okay, then don't just leave this interview with that rattling around. When I ask people, what does it mean to you? And this goes back with being aligned with who you are. What does it mean to you to be successful? Okay. From a tangible level, I ask them, what does success mean to Mike? Because success to Mike doesn't mean the same thing as a success to Shane. So when I say, what do you think it takes to be successful in this company? The first question I ask, I said, before you answer that, tell me what success means to you. You know how many times I get an answer? Rarely, because people are not asked. And I say, how can you ever tell me you want to be successful in life if you've never determined what success means to you? Find alignment, figure out what success means to you, and start there. Then you can layer that cake, but you have to build the foundation or the cake will fall. The building will fall. It all goes back to the foundation, and your foundation of alignment, Mike, has to be predetermined. You have to flip the switch, and it's that easy. People act like it's convoluted, it's difficult, it's long-winded. No. You wake up one morning and you say, I'm done with this life. This is who I am now, and that's exactly what you and I did. Have we had slip-ups? Have we had mess-ups here or there? Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's one day. We get 364 more right after it. So, to me, your point is find the alignment in things that are better for you instead of making excuses for things that aren't, because you can do that to death. So I'm going to give you a couple of words, Mike. This is a contrast type exercise.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
In one column, we have arrogance. In one column, we have alignment. Now I'm going to change this up and from what I've told you in the pre-show, I'm going to give you the word and let you tell me what column you think it. A little pressure on you here because you have no idea what I'm fixing to
Hope I
say.
don't screw this up.
All right.
Dave's on a podcast today.
So arrogance versus alignment. Point or word number one. I'll give you an easy one first.
Okay.
Quiet.
That's alignment.
Right? And I'll give you the alternative to that. Arrogance is loud. Okay.
Yep.
Next, we'll go with needs applause.
That's arrogance.
That's arrogance. The opposite flip coin of that, needs integrity.
Mm, yep.
That's another big part of my interview process. How do you live with integrity? You know, people come into the gym expecting questions like, can you move weights around? I'm hitting them with shit like, what does success mean to you and how do you walk with integrity? Because I don't know who you are as a person. I can teach you how to coach.
Right.
I can't teach you how to be a good human being. You got to want to do that yourself, right? You got to find that alignment yourself. How about reactive?
Oh, that's arrogance as well.
Opposite of that, grounded. Every grounded man or woman that you know, high chance they're successful. You're one of the most grounded humans that I know. You're more grounded than me. I look to you and say, I've got to find ways to be more grounded. I'm too explosive. I am too reactive. That is a flaw of my personality. I have a very reactive personality. You're grounded. Can you get reactive? Yes, it takes you a hell of a lot longer. But once you get there, you have to build that. Talks about standards,
That's arrogance.
lives them. You can see how easy it is to flip, to flip the coin. I'll go the other way, consistent.
Yeah, that's alignment.
That is alignment, but being performative is arrogant, right?
Yep.
There's a difference. You and I want to be performative in ways that we can help people, but we do it
Right.
in a consistent manner.
Yep.
Now, you can be on the stage as long as what you're revealing to the crowd is authentic.
Yeah.
There's a difference. I
So
could get up there and make up a bunch of lies, and that's performative art.
yes.
We don't want to be performers. We want to be deliverers and be consistent with our message. So my points to this before I flip it to you for anything on that is there's a difference in arrogance and alignment, and I'll give it to you from a fitness perspective. Gym mirror confidence is arrogance. Training when nobody's watching, that's alignment. Social media discipline versus real discipline. Highlight reel versus real life. Okay. There's a million ways to put that. But in the world we live in, this is real, bro. Like, show me what you're doing when you're not on this 30-second clip. That's why I tell people you got to kill me to beat me. And most
Yeah.
people that know me know that to be true. Like, come get some. If you win, God love you. I'm going to die trying. But that's just who I am. Same thing goes with you, Mike. Anything about, as far as understanding the difference between those two paths? Is there anything that comes to mind there?
Yeah, I think a way to paint it for folks is think about, and Shane, you've been through a million conferences where you've had a speaker on the stage, and sometimes it hits home and it really resonates. And sometimes, most of the time, frankly, it doesn't. And it's really usually for me, never the topic. It's usually whether or not I believe the speaker on the stage, whether or not I understand the concepts, and it's all stuff we've all heard a million times before. So it's not the content. It's, do I believe that this person lives the way that they're describing that I should live in whatever decision making process or employee engagement or whatever it might be. How do you? I mean, tell me about you've had to have had these experiences where you're sitting there on the stage going, "This guy's a charlatan," right? Tell me about that.
Yeah, man, for sure. You got people that are there for self-serving, and I hate to say this, one, because I don't have one yet, but if the first thing that comes out of their mouth is some sort of self-promotional plug, then you can get ready because
Yep,
you're getting
that's
ready
right.
to be fed a line of shit. If they
Yeah.
come out of the gate swinging with something or some way for them to monetize, then that already gets my attention to probably check out.
Yep.
Because real authentic people, sure, they want to make a living, but they're gonna give you stuff that captures you in a different way right out of the gate. They want to make that connection with you however they can find it. If they've done their homework, we talked a little bit about this before the podcast. You got to know the audience that you're speaking to because every crowd's going to be different. And if you try to open the same way or you try to do this bullshit, you're going to lose half of your audience right out of the gate. They're gone. You're not getting them back.
That's
They're
right.
already doing this, Mike.
Yep.
Once they're here, you
Here we
ain't
go.
getting them back.
That's right.
So I've sat through a million of them, and one of the main reasons I love some speakers is they open up and they're authentic, or they talk about authenticity, and they give real life examples of what they've been doing. And you can tell that this is not BS. This is real talk, right? You have captured me, which is not an easy skill. You said it. I'd go as far as to say 70% of the speakers that we listen to, they don't have the ability to capture.
Mm.
The 30% that do, they own the room, man. Everybody with the small percentages, they're listening to that person because they're authentic.
Well, and the reason I want to use that as an example to demonstrate all of this is the facts are that if you're authentic, regardless of what decisions you make, you want to be the guy who lives on the couch and drinks beer and hangs out in your garage. If you're an authentic human being, I still want to hang out with you way more than I want to hang out with somebody who is pretending to enjoy the gym, who's doing it for the wrong
Yep.
reasons.
And
It,
that
it
perfect example goes right into the next point. And it's funny because you do this to me all the time. You didn't even know what I was coming with next, and you just
didn't know.
perfect example. Why online people perform better through cognition. Okay, think about the cognitive load, and I want you to think about what you just said. Your body knows when you're lying to yourself, which causes what? Anxiety.
Yep.
How many people do you know that are on some version of an anxiety medication currently?
Way too many.
Why do you think that is? Because we lie to ourselves nonstop. It's going to be okay if I do this, this, and this. No, it's really not.
The most used human emotion is self-justification. If you just think about it in every single, you and I still do it. We still do it for certain things, right? I don't really have to hit that fifth rep on that third set because I know I can do it, and I'm tired today, right? As you're squatting down on the fourth rep. BS. You have a program, hit your program, but we'll do it. We'll self-justify that I'm good enough. But think about that in the context of the vast majority of let's keep it in the sphere we know. Americans self-justify all kinds of bad behaviors, all kinds of political decisions, all kinds of job choices or whatever, because it's more comfortable than doing the hard thing.
Yep.
And yeah. So I didn't mean to cut you off. Maybe
No, no,
think about.
no. That's what I wanted you to do because ask any middle-aged woman in America what cortisol is. Ask them 10 years ago, ask them 5 years ago, and ask them today. That will give you a thesis on what it is today because there's 8,420 million people telling them cortisol, it's everywhere. Cortisol is a real thing. It's a touchy subject for me because I have to live it, and there's a lot of people that will mislead you with what types of activities can spike cortisol in the gym. I disagree with a lot of those theories. Here's the reality about cortisol. Here's what I can tell you, Mike. When actions don't match values, when you lie to yourself, when you self-justify bad things, you know what happens? Cortisol rises. When we are not aligned with what we said we were going to do, it spikes our cortisol, which is not good for us. There's a whole nother podcast we can do on what insulin does with cortisol. I have vastly done a deep dives into this. But point being, misalignment increases cognitive stress. We've already talked about decision fatigue. Okay, now you're making decisions based off what? Once you enter into an argument with yourself, you've already lost the battle because you will convince yourself of whatever outcome suits the need. So now we know we have decision fatigue. We're not being authentic with who we said we're going to be, which is causing cognitive stress, which is causing our cortisol to rise. It's increasing our chronic stress, but our sleep's bad. Our immune system gets weaker and we have more inflammation in our body. Our focus is reduced. We're taking anxiety medicine and the world is ending tomorrow.
Sounds like a good
Pretty sure I just
recipe.
summed up a generation, but I won't say which one.
We should do more of that. Sounds like, yeah, it totally. And another person that we follow and has been important in our lives is Bedros Keuilian, and he talks about congruence, living congruently, and it's the same word, and maybe even helps subdefine alignment more effectively, which says if you say you're going to be this person and you're not that person, but you keep saying you're going to be this person or you are that person, well, all you're doing is destroying yourself both mentally and physically through cortisol, through anxiety, and you're making it harder to become that person. So that's why decisions, once you've decided what you want to do, it's that story that I've told before. Three frogs in a log and two decide to jump off. How many are still in the log? Well, three, because they only decided. Well, then you have to do it. Because if you do it, then you will be congruent. You will be in alignment.
I love that joke, by the way. You could get me every time. If you asked me that before, I would have said one. But the thing is, and I want to jump off the anxiety bandwagon, but here's the thing about anxiety, Mike. It's not a weakness, it's misalignment.
Yeah. It's just a natural reaction to behaviors. It's not a weakness, and anxiety is a real thing, but you can fix it actually.
I
You
don't
don't
get
even
anxious. That's
you don't
one
need to
that's one thing. Luckily, I don't have anxiety. I don't get shook up. I have a 0 to 1,000 gear when it comes to reactivity, but it's not due to anxiousness. It's just how I perceive I'm impulsive and makes me a good soldier, but sometimes can make me a bad leader outside of battle because, impulse control is needed for you don't get yourself in big trouble. But anxiety is not something that I'm riddled with. You know why? Because not every time. You can ask family. Family members will say, I watched your podcast. You're not always like that. You're right. And I have to work on that. But 90% of the time, Mike, I'll go 90. I think it's a little higher, but I'm who I said I was going to be. So I don't
Mhm.
have to be anxious about that. Why create that? So taking that into the next data point, Mike, data point number one, we talked about was decision fatigue, right? Data point number two, we just talked about was cognition load. Data point number three, we talk a little bit about identity based habits. Now, you and I are beloved lovers of the book Atomic Habits. I think everyone should read it. In fact, I'm going to razzle dazzle you and go James Clear. How about that? I remembered an
You
author's
knew
name.
one. That's great news.
That should tell you how much I like the book because I actually remembered the author's name without having to look at the book. People who align with identity are 2 to 3 times more likely to sustain habits past the 90-day mark. Arrogance arrogance will chase outcomes. Alignment will build your identity. So my point to that, Mike, is if you align with just 2 or 3 small changes, and this is where I feel like personally a lot of people get this resolution wrong. Okay. They set the bar higher than they can achieve.
Mhm.
And it's great to have lofty goals, but what's your 90-day goals? That's something that you and I talk a lot about. And we talk about that during our interview process. Well, what is your 90-day goal? When I have sit down meeting with clients, okay, tell me what your long range goal is of weight, if that's what you're chasing, but tell me what your short term range is in 90 days, because there's a difference between those two numbers. And if you don't allow yourself to hit some singles to score some runs that way, you're never able to celebrate anything. It's always a disappointment because every time you get on the scale, guess what? You've not achieved what you said you wanted to achieve. And eventually, if you disappoint yourself enough, what do, Mike? You give up. If you allow yourself to align with 2 or 3 small changes going into the new season, new year, and you stick to that and you align to those things, guess what? It only takes 26 days to build a habit. Do it 26 days in a row. You just made it past the threshold. That starts to become who you are. That's when, Nike, you have quarterly reviews. If we do it at work, why don't we do it in our personal lives? If you do a quarterly review of your personal life and say, okay, January to March, right? What's my after action report of that? Did I stick to those 2 or 3 goals? Okay. I had set yearly goals. Can I add more in now? Thoughts on that? Being identity based, meaning clearly identify the top 2 or 3 changes that you want to make that will move the needle the most and identify to those. Thoughts on that?
I've several. If you're going to write down the word resolution and put some things underneath that, first understand what resolution definition is. Resolution means that you have made a decision that this is now what is truth. That's what a resolution is. Look it up. Resolution means, I have committed to some action. The idea that you're going to keep a resolution is a little mind numbing, to be honest with you. It's a resolution, not to be kept. It is just now truth. And so if you're going to write down a resolution, as you said, then pick 2 or 3 of those that are achievable and are short term enough that you can see that you've checked them off to write another resolution that doesn't wait till January 1st. So that's my first reaction. My second reaction is, you want to know why people don't do after action reviews quarterly about their own personal lives? Because that's hard. It's really easy to do an after action review with your team on what they didn't do. That's easy. That's easy to sit around and point fingers and write down stuff and, admit that, okay, well, maybe I could have helped you with this too, but that's a minor element. When you got to look at yourself and say, because all along the way, you're not achieving, your cortisol spiking, you're feeling those issues, but then you got to write it down and say, I didn't do these things, or I only did these things at 50%, or I only did those, and I need to fix that. That's painful. And so people want to avoid that pain. It's the same reason they don't go to the gym, same reason they don't read that book, the same, because it's work. It's things you don't want to do. It's uncomfortable. It's easier to turn on the boob tube and watch another episode of Yellowstone.
Amen.
Read a book right now that I want you to read. I don't know if you've seen it yet. Have you read Relentless by Tim Grover? It's like a 2013, 2014-ish book. It's
I know
not
the
big.
book.
It's
I
not
have not
long.
read it.
It is a great book. Reading it right now. Michelle bought it for me for Christmas. It tells you something about our relationship. She wants me to be more relentless. So, it's not true. She knows I'm into this stuff. So it's always been one of my favorite words. I use it at work all the time. I use it with my family. It's the idea that good enough isn't good enough. We set a target. We are relentless until we achieve that target. And what it does, Tim talks a lot about Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, some great athletes, and what made them so much better than everybody else. Physical attributes, yes. And so he does a good job describing, well, not everybody's going to be Kobe or Michael, but it's this idea that they had this mindset of relentless pursuit of outcomes. And that is alignment. That is alignment versus this idea that I'm going to chase a million things until I find the one thing I love. Well, no, define first who you're going to be and then be relentless about that outcome.
Love that. Definitely will pick that up. And that segues perfectly into our next point, Mike. Data point number 4, which is part of what we're going to call the January trap. It's the New Year drop off, AKA motivation versus alignment. What you just said about those superior athletes, what are they in? They're in the Hall of Fame, right? It's the Hall of Greatness. There is no Hall of Good. Doesn't exist, right? You're either great or you're good. There's no in between. And to your point, motivation is necessary at times. I like to I'm fixing to enter into a very bizarre and crazy challenge that I'm imposing on myself. I have to find motivation to do that. I know I'm going to have to find it. But it also includes the alignment of who I am, right? So to your point, Mike, alignment, motivation versus alignment as people go into the new year. If you go back through the collective data points that we've talked about and you've written them down, okay, the New Year drop-off, the data tells me that 80% of New Year resolutions fail by February. That's 30 days in. 31 days in, it's done. Didn't make it. Why? The issue isn't discipline. The issue is misalignment with identity and lifestyle. And here's why. If you set your goals to become someone that you're not willing to be every day of your life, they will not last and you will fail. And that goes back to the point. If you identify a couple of things that you know you can do, change and be daily, you'll be successful. If not, Mike, guess what? If you write all these things down and you're not willing to do this every single day, you're not authentic, which means what? Your anxiety goes up because you're lying to yourself. You're pretending. You're pretending. I can say I'm going to be an evangelistic preacher. I'm going to go out on the street. If I'm not willing to do that every single day, that does not need to be a resolution of mine. Like you and I just had to talk about a challenge that I sent you, which I clearly didn't read the challenge all the way through. Thank God we talked about it because that would have stressed me the hell out because I couldn't do what I said. Let's do this, Mike, which obviously you brought clarity to the situation. But my point is, if I would have set that goal and not said something to you, I would have been lying to you because I would not have been able to keep up. And then I would have had a decision. Do I let Mike down or am I honest? For whatever reason, Mike, I find this with my team. I find it, people are so hesitant to correct people when they're wrong
Mm.
on your own team because they don't want to hurt their feelings. Well, I ask my team this all the time. If you don't correct them and I see it, what do you think's fixing to happen? They're going to get their feelings hurt a hell of a lot worse from me than they would of a teammate saying, hey, to your point back to the beginning of the podcast, standards are standards. There's no gray there. This is how the slam balls go on the rack. This is how the sandbags go on the rack. You know why? Because when Mike walks into my gym, the very first thing I want him to see is these people care about what they do. And it's visual proof. How hard is that? Just like your resolution, make one. Make one for every 90 days. People overcomplicate this stuff, Mike. Thoughts on this? Being motivation versus alignment.
Yeah, I think the point you made about standards is so critically important to be, clarity, alignment, standards. It's all the same thing, which is you can't achieve anything in life, anything, unless you've defined what is going to be a yes now and what is going to be a no now. And then, as we talked about very early on, there are not decisions to be made. You just do the yeses and you don't do the nos. It's that
Which is
simple.
not easy.
It's not easy, but it's simple. And that's what we talk about all the time. It's not easy, but it's simple. And if you let yourself just live simply, it's also not easy, but it's simple to live in the woods in a tent. But you can do it, right?
What
You
you're
can do it.
saying about would you rather be right? What tell me you're saying?
Would you rather be right or would you rather be effective? Yeah.
Would you
Yeah.
rather be arrogant or would you rather be aligned? Because a lot of people choose the arrogant route. You know why? Because it's quick dopamine hits.
Yep.
You're noticed. But then people quickly can find out you're full of crap and you lose everything and then some.
Yep.
So being authentic. So Mike, I want to go through some quick alignment checks that people can do that are very like we just said, very actionable, but also very simple. Okay. So alignment check number 1. Does my calendar reflect my values? You and Adam Pickett guilted me into getting my calendar better. And it has effectively changed a lot of things in my life. That simple thing about putting your day and your week in your calendar has changed how effective I am. Truly. I have the same conversation with my clients. When I'm meeting you for the first time, we're in our sit down meeting. I'll say, you want this to stick? You want this to be effective? You want this to be an identity based habit change? Put it in your calendar. Yeah, you got to book an app. Book it on your booking app and then go the extra step and put it in your calendar. Because guess what? That just becomes part of your day. That is your time that nobody can interrupt. You want to be successful? Do that. This much people actually listen to me, but the ones that do, guess what, Mike? They change. They flip the switch. Thoughts on calendar and how it reflects your values?
It has to be calendarized, and I don't care what it is. 15 minutes with your kids to have a weekly dialogue or a daily or whatever. I travel a lot, so I book when I'm going to call them on a Zoom. I block 2 hours a day for the gym. I don't always get 2 hours a day in the gym, but I make sure I've got enough time blocked that I get what I need to get it done. I've got every single meeting, whether that be something. I'm on a couple of nonprofit boards. I've got a million things going on in my business. I got customer call. I got it. If it's not, frankly, if it's not on my calendar, I ain't doing it. So that's the way I live now. Eh, like I get pop ups all the time. Here's what's coming up next. Here's what's coming up. In fact, I don't even look at my calendar for the day until I start the day. I used to do it the night before. I don't have to do that anymore because I know I've already pre-planned what's going to
Right.
happen. And so, again, it was not my calendar. It ain't happening. And so, like when you and I connect to do this podcast, right? We talk about it, and if I don't put it in my calendar, I don't show up.
Yeah.
So
I'm like, "Mike, you did not have this locked in, sir. You in fact did not."
yeah, no matter what I said in the text of having it locked in. So that is I've become now so reliant on it that it's got to be there or I will forget that it's supposed to happen. There's so much going on. But when you do that, it ensures that you do all the things you're supposed to do. Because you get another call from somebody, a friend, hey, you want to go out? Can't, not till 7. Got the gym 5 to 7 today. Okay, see you at 7:30. Great. Customer dinners. This is gonna sound crazy. It's either gonna be really early in the day or it's gonna be really late at night because I gotta get the gym in, and everyone gets it. They're cool with that. So it's just
So I would say that your calendar reflects your values.
it does. It has to, or I won't do it.
So that and how hard is that for you to do? How hard is
Super,
that?
super easy. Specifically in today's world where everything you do, you book a flight, add to calendar. You
It's
schedule a meeting, add to calendar.
so easy now. Add to
It's
calendar.
so easy.
So that's the alignment check number 1, and I truly believe that that is effectively I'm still getting better at it. I will not sit here and tell you a lie and say I'm as good as you and Adam because 'cause I'm not, but I do find myself getting better each month, each week of getting those things in there. Like, it's just becoming on more and more of who I am. So that is an alignment check that I'm trying to get better with, but have came a long way. Baby steps, but I am working on to getting to where you are because there's value there. Number 2, would I still do this if no one knew? That's good or bad.
Good or bad.
That is a
Yeah.
hell of a way to check your alignment.
But again, it's like we talked about, like the guy who loves to hang out in his garage and drink beer versus do anything else. He's aligned. It's what he wants to do. He'd do it whether I knew it or not. That's authenticity. That's somebody who I can hang with. And that's the same thing about whatever decisions you're going to make. Those are now who you are. You're not. That's not who you are when your wife's around or your friends are paying attention. That's just who you are.
What you do in the shadows and behind closed doors determines on who you are.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree. The shadow work is the most important work that we often do. Alignment check number 3, Mike. Am I building a life I can sustain, not just survive?
Mm,
I can understand this one. Um,
mhm.
there was a lot of things I'd go back and do differently, open a business like I did. I was unprepared, thought I was a lot smarter than I was, didn't ask the right questions. And you do have to sometimes enter into survival mode. So, point to that is if you're going to be aligned to do something coming into the new year, is there sustainability with that? Or is it just going to become to the point, am I going to just barely get by doing this to survive? You need to understand there's risks in this game because someone's New Year's resolution be like, F it, I'm quitting my job and I'm going all in. Hey, I'm supportive. You got to have a set, but you better make sure that your alignments are true with what you're actually trying to do. And that could be for anything, Mike, running a marathon, training, starting that training block, bodybuilding competitions. Is this sustainable for me? Or am I just surviving this? Takes me back to my point to interviewing people. GWC. Does Mike get it? Does Mike want it? Does Mike have the capacity to do it? And usually number 3 can wipe a lot of people off the map because to your point, Mike, everyone's willing to say yes. Do you have the capacity to get this done? I have so many people that's on my team that'll say, I'll do do you have the time and capacity to get this done at the level that I want you to do it at? Because you have to learn how to start telling me no, because the more yeses that you give me and you fail, guess what? You're going to get off the team quick. I will remove you from the team. So be cautious with that. So, Mike, sustainability versus survivability when it comes to being aligned with something that you're taking on.
Well, I think about seasons of life and how there's certainly season. You're in a season now where actually let's back up to you. So you said yes to this gym. You went all in. You did all the things. But if you weren't truly aligned with the outcome, you would have failed a long time ago. You
That's
would not
fair.
have worked 20 hours a day, 15 days or 40 days in a row. You would have said, this is too damn hard. It's not really what I want. What I want is an easier, cushier life. And I'm not doing this. You would have given up. You had a lot of reasons in addition to that that you couldn't. You had financial commitments you had to live out. You had to figure out how that was going to be. I mean, but hell, you could have pushed the bankruptcy button and moved on. That's an option. But because you were aligned after you made the decision, there was no plan B. You said it yourself a million times. This is plan A, B, and X. And so you have to make it work. And I just, you know, I don't know how proud you are of what you've done, but I'm pretty proud of what you've done because it's not easy to continue on when the deck is not stacked against you on top of you. So what you've done, Shane, as I said, super impressive to me, and it's impressive to a lot of people because took a lot of courage, and then it took a lot of stamina, and that is, in my mind, the perfect definition of alignment, even when it's really, really hard.
Well, I do appreciate that, and there's a lot of things that I could say in turn for what you've recently done as well. So more to come on that, but yes, I do
You
appreciate the
very short future, we'll be talking about that.
I do appreciate the vote of confidence, and you've heard a lot of the good, bad, and the ugly, and yes, you are aware, so I appreciate that. But yes, to your point, it can be done, but you better have a strong sense of who you are before you get into some of the choppier waters of life. Mike, let's start moving into a closing direction here. Okay. So what have we accomplished so far? Right. If you take it all the way back to the beginning, we defined alignment is greater than arrogance. We've talked about the noise that's fixing to come, being authentic to ourselves. We've talked about the data points, decision fatigue, so being prepared and aligned. We've talked about the contrast between the two and how we want to navigate that, the cognitive ability and how to handle that, and also being aligned in identity. And lastly, we just talked about motivation versus alignment. So now, do the alignment checks, check your calendars. Would you still do it if nobody's watching? And lastly, is this sustainable? All that to say, you don't have to be the loudest person in the room this year. You need to be the most clear person in the room, right? Alignment will never announce itself, Mike. It's the results that introduce who you are. And that's what I love about your story and even my own. It's results driven. You know, you got these two knuckleheads coming in, not congruent with where they want to be, how they want to be, but we were one of the few that flipped the switch. We actually took the advice we were given and we used it. And it's radically changed who we are as humans. We identify as a completely different person than we did 4 years ago. And I'm proud of that. And I know you're proud of it. And I'm proud of you. And, our call to action to anyone that's watching this podcast is get aligned before you get aggressive. Why are you so defensive when people ask you about certain things? Because you're embarrassed, same as we were. Don't get aggressive, get aligned. Look in the mirror and say, you know what? They're not wrong. I'm not who I said I was going to be. I'm not being authentic. I'm not being aligned. I'm living a lie. It's causing anxiety in my life. Listen to Bedros' story. Talks about his crippling anxiety because he was living outside of who he was, not being congruent. And he talks about flipping the switch. And now look at him now. He flipped it. Good for him, man. Quiet standards beats loud introductions, Mike. Always and forever. Any closing anchors you want to throw in there, Mike?
Great
To just
topic today, Shane. Thanks for picking it. I think it speaks volumes. And look, this is, if you're thinking about New Year's resolutions, this is why we're doing it. It's timely. Um, we're not saying don't have New Year's resolutions. They're good. They're a good way to get started. We're just saying be aligned, be congruent, be thoughtful, do things that you know you can actually accomplish. Build some small wins, stack some atomic habits. It's amazing. Listen to all of our podcasts in a row and do those things. And I think you're going to find that this can be the year of you. This can be the year that you achieve what you want to achieve, but can also be the next day and the next day after that and the day after that and the day after that if you get aligned. And so I'm hopeful for all of you who are listening that you will do what we're asking you to do because of the impact it will have on you and on your life, not because we asked you to do it, but because of the value it creates for you It's why we do this, Shane. It's why we've got our website to have people visit us and let us come and speak to your teams. Join us for training sessions. Let's join our training group and let's get you fit the way you want to be fit. We've got our podcast. We've got a number of ways that we can help. Heck, we got a live chat. We'll take live questions if you've got them. We're doing this because of the profound impact it's had on our lives over the last 4 years. We want others to have the same. And this advice is timely and perfect for those folks who are listening. So with that, Shane, let's wrap it up. Another great podcast.
You know what, Mike? I enjoyed this one immensely. I always enjoy our time together. It's real. It's authentic. This is who we are. And hope you took some value and nuggets away from this. I know, Mike, you kind of briefly touched on it, but where can someone find us if they want to check out our podcasts?
Yeah, go to www.leadershipignitionteam.com. And in the middle, you can see, if you go to the Fuel and Focus section, actually the main page, Fuel and Focus section, you can find our podcast links. You can also check us out on Instagram or Facebook or where else are we? LinkedIn.
Apple
Yep.
and
And those
Spotify.
all have links, but our podcasts are housed. Yep, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, actually just about everywhere you can imagine. YouTube, we're out there. So if you want to look at our smiling mugs while we're talking, go to YouTube or Spotify, or just want to listen to us babble, go to Apple Podcasts.
Right on, Mike. Well, my friend, let's put a big old fantastic bow on this one. Happy New Year's, my friend. I
Same
wish
here.
success for you and your family, and much love to you, buddy. But what do you say? What do we say here? You ready?
Let's do it.
Let's
Get
get lit.
Bye, everybody.
Right on, dude.
Happy New Year. Thank you for listening to the Leadership Ignition Team podcast. Go to our website at www.leadershipignitionteam.com to subscribe to our weekly newsletter, engage with us, and find again favorite podcast networks, Spotify, Apple Podcasts,